Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted.
Here we go. Let's talk about, did you see the lady from NPR, the head of NPR today, absolutely getting eviscerated on Capitol Hill? Amazing. Now, NPR, they're desperately trying to keep their government funding. It should be canceled immediately. It is a left-wing institutionalist propagandist rag. None of my tax dollars should go to a, quote, news agency who literally are merely propagandists that will spin their stories to always go against people that share my political belief. Similarly, if it turned out that there was public funding that basically was Breitbart, what do you think the chances are Democrats would say, hey, it's public? So she's desperately trying to fight for why we should continue to fund NPR, and she's going to be asked about some of her past commentary. Now, I don't know in this specific clip if we're going to hear it, but someone brings up the fact that of the 87 editors or whatever at the NPR, every single one of them are Democrats. And yes, this woman's going to claim, I don't see any evidence of bias at the NPR. So now this Representative Gill is going to ask her about past statements she had because she claims she doesn't have a political bias. So let's hear some of the past statements that she's publicly made and what she says about them now.
Do you believe that America is addicted to white supremacy?
I believe that I tweeted that, and as I've said earlier, I believe much of my thinking has evolved over the last half decade.
It has evolved. Why did you tweet that?
I don't recall the exact context, sir, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Okay. Do you believe that America believes
half decade? So in 5 years, I went from thinking that this country's we're addicted to white supremacy to, nope, I don't believe it now. What changed?
in black plunder and white democracy?
I don't believe that, sir.
You
Don't know where
tweeted
statement
that in
comes from.
reference to a book you were reading at the time, apparently, The Case for Reparations.
I don't think I've ever read that book, sir.
You tweeted about it. You said you took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter. And
So she puts on Twitter, wow, I took the day off to read this book. You know, we've still, it's built on black plunder. I read this book. Wow. She's like, I don't think I ever read that book. Amazing.
January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I'd no doubt that yours.
Look at that smug smile. Look at this. She knows she's lying. She knows it. Watch her smile. She knows.
Took a day off to fully read The Case for Reparations. You put that on Twitter in January of 2020.
Apologies, I don't recall that I did.
Okay.
I'd no doubt that your tweet there is correct, but I don't recall that.
I never read that book. Yeah, I probably made that tweet, but I didn't read it.
Okay. Do you believe that white people inherently feel superior to other races?
I do not.
You don't. You tweeted something to that effect. You said, I grew up feeling superior. How white of me. Why did you tweet that?
I think I was probably reflecting on what it was to grow up in an environment where I had lots of advantages.
It sounds like you're saying that white people feel superior.
I don't believe that anybody feels that way, sir. I was just reflecting on my own experiences.
If you're reflecting on your own experience, for example, I feel privileged, right? But saying like, wow, I feel privileged like white people, or like how very white of me, that's bullshit. That would mean you're saying that white people have privilege. That's what you're alluding to.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
I have never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North, yes, all of us, yes, America, yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt, yes, reparations, yes, on this day.
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
So now she's claiming when she said yes to reparations, she didn't mean reparations as everyone understands it, which is something of physical worth to be given to the ancestors of slaves. She just meant we should be thankful. That's how she interprets reparations. You see? By the way, you notice how they always try to use this control of language like this? It's one of the things that pissed me off about this. It's not attack plans, it's war plans. To see people on the right trying this semantic bullshit. DEI, well, that's not diverse. Equity doesn't mean equality of outcomes. It's, we're Antifa. That means we're anti-fascist. Okay, so that's what she means reparations then. So for her, when she says America owes blacks reparations, she says, I've never said that. And when someone's like, okay, let's go back and listen to what she says.
Yes, reparations. Yes, on this day. Yes, all of us. Yes, America. Yes, our original.
Anybody feels that way, sir? I was just reflecting
Well,
on my
listen
own
to her.
experiences.
Do you think that white people should pay reparations?
The answer is yes. But she doesn't feel paying reparations is money. Her answer should be this, if she's telling the truth in the second part of this. Well, yes, I think they should pay reparations, but not in the way that other people say reparations. When I say they should pay reparations, I mean they should pay respect. That's what I mean by reparations. But yes, they should pay reparations. She wouldn't say, no, I've never said that. And then when she specifically told, yes, we ought to give reparations, say, oh, no, what I meant by that. If that's what she meant by it, then when she's directly asked, do you think we should give reparations? She would say, yes. It's just, I don't think that's money.
I've never said that, sir.
Yes, you did. You said it in January of 2020. You tweeted, yes, the North. Yes, all of us. Yes, America. Yes, our original collective sin and unpaid debt. Yes, reparations. Yes, on this day.
I don't believe that was a reference to fiscal reparations, sir.
What kind of reparations was it a reference to?
I think it was just a reference to the idea that we all owe much to the people who came before us.
That's a bizarre way to frame what you tweeted. Okay, how much reparations have you personally paid?
Sir, I don't believe that I've ever paid reparations.
Okay, it's just
But wait a minute. If paying reparations isn't just paying respect, she's admitting that she's never paid respect? That's what she's saying? She's saying, no, reparations just mean paying respect to, the slaves and the families of slaves. So why is she refusing to pay reparations? After all, reparations is just paying respect to the ancestors of blacks that were slaves. Why is she refusing to pay? Sounds pretty bigoted, huh? Or she's full of shit, as we all know, that when she said yes to reparations, she meant physical reparations.
for everybody else.
I'm not asking anyone
Seems
to
to
pay
be what you're
reparations, sir.
suggesting. Do you believe that looting is morally wrong?
I believe that looting is illegal, and I refer to it as counterproductive. I think it should be prosecuted.
Do you
to the
believe
full
it's
extent of the
morally
law.
wrong, though?
Of course.
Of course. Then why did you refer to it as counterproductive? It's a very different way to describe it.
It is both morally wrong and counterproductive, as well as being
You
illegal.
tweeted, it's hard to be mad about protests in reference to the BLM protests, not prioritizing the private property of a system of oppression. You didn't condemn the looting. You said that it was counterproductive. NPR also promoted a book called In Defense of Looting. Do you think that that's an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars?
I'm unfamiliar with that book, sir, and I don't believe that was at my
You
time at
tweeted
NPR.
that you read that book, but
I don't believe that I did read that.
Another book that she tweeted that she read, and now she's claiming, oh, I didn't read it, though. You can't believe the things that I say publicly. Hardly the defense that she thinks. Here's the truth. That woman feels she is morally superior and therefore righteous. She feels that as someone who's near the top of government-funded media, that her moral obligation is to use that not to be media in the traditional sense, which is to just report the news, but to be partisan and to push agendas that she agrees with and to go after people she thinks are against those agendas. And part of that is blatantly fucking lying, if necessary, to keep getting funding to continue on that moral crusade. So she, just like you see these lefties over and over again, will look right in your face and lie to you. Even as blatant as shit is like, oh no, I've never said that I was for reparations. When it's like, yes, you did. Here's the exact tweet. She'll say, oh no, I meant something completely different by reparations. No, I've never read that book. Well, here's your tweet saying you've read it. I tweeted that, but I never read it. They'll lie right to your face. That was all from 2000, though. She claims she's never seen political bias. Never seen it, she claims. Let's hear some more comments from her.
The number one challenge here that we see and is, of course, the First Amendment in the United States is a fairly robust protection of rights. And that is a protection of rights both for platforms, which I actually think is very important, that platforms have those rights to be able to regulate what kind of content they want on their sites. But it also means that it is a little bit tricky to really address some of the real challenges of where does bad information come from and sort of the influence peddlers who have made a real market economy around it.
Yeah, like NPR. How about here?
I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
You see that? The truth, it's sort of a distraction. That's the problem. The truth is a distraction because we have important work to do. You know, about reparations and how racist white people are in this country is. From 2018, Catherine Maher says, white Western canon got you down? Me too. Join us to help Wikipedia. She was working for Wikipedia. Those damn whites. White people, why do you keep erasing the work of others? Why not reach out to the orgs working in spaces you wish to assert authority over? Thanks, Catherine. So what you're saying is Facebook is an average white man. Responding to Facebook has no idea how to talk about its power. Airline business class demographics are such a pet peeve of mine. In the lounge and on the plane, usually 80% male, usually white. I know the hysteric white woman voice. I was taught to do it. I've done it. It's a disturbing recognition. While I don't recall ever using it deliberately to expose another person to immediate physical harms on my own cognizance, it's not impossible. That's whiteness. Never underestimate the ability of white people to center ourselves. White silence is complicity. If you are white, today is the day to start a conversation in your community. She's not biased, though. No liberal bias whatsoever. My 30-year-old brother listening to NPR in reactions to the new Ghostbusters. White men, we really are pretty much the problem these days. There's nothing like listening to old white men in D.C. at the next table over talk about discovering the John Birch Society in prep schools and complaining about supporting the UN human rights bodies. The elderly battered, babies caged, black people murdered, women assaulted, and patrician white men in robes assures us that this was the framers' intent all along. Why did you call Trump
to do that? Let me ask you, why did you call President Trump a fascist and a deranged racist sociopath in 2020?
Congressman, I appreciate the opportunity to address this. I regret those tweets. I would not tweet them again today. They represented a time where I was reflecting on something that I believe that the president had said rather than who he is. I don't presume that anyone is a racist.
You don't believe anyone is a racist?
I don't start by presuming anyone is a racist.
Failed to do.
Oh, my bad. She was a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. America begins in black plunder and white democracy. I grew up feeling superior. Ha! How white of me. Because I was from New England. She is a vegetarian. I do wish Hillary wouldn't use the language of boy and girl. It's erasing language for non-binary people. Is it about time Twitter gives up and brings in a woman to fix things? I've stopped using this one because it's ableist, but I have a collection of protest signs I sometimes rotate in a chair in the background. Yeah, this is crazy. It's too ableist. Holistic histories and analysis of power and influence are a threat to simplistic narratives and can be an accelerant for understanding empathy and justice. That Silicon Valley v. Russia thread was pretty funny until it got into ideological diversity. In case it's not evident, in these parts, that's often a dog whistle for anti-feminist, anti-people of color stories about meritocracy. Maybe it's not what the author meant, but I don't know, maybe it is. I intended it as a critique of the male gaze that anticipates females as fast as recipients. It's just a fucking joke. This person is in charge of the media outlet that your tax dollars funds. Talking about punching Nazis in reference to people that aren't Nazis being punched. Catherine Maher says she abandoned here.
The idea of free and open as some of our founding principles, sort of free and open source, coming from the idea of the open source community. Well, I have come to the opinion and the perspective that free and open was a way of looking at the world that was inherently limited relative to what we were trying to achieve. Free and open has the best of intentionality, but in the end, what free and open often ended up doing, and particularly in the case of Wikipedia, was really recapitulating many of the same power structures and dynamics that exist offline prior to the advent of the internet. And so what we ended up seeing was Wikipedia really rebuilt this idea of knowledge as a whole around what the Western canon. You see the exclusion of communities, of languages, because of the ways in which Wikipedia is based on reliable sources. The idea of a written tradition is something that is particular to the idea of a written tradition, which is particular to some cultures and not to others. The ways in which we ascribe notability often really comes from sort of this white male westernized construct around who matters in societies and who is elevated and whose voices. And so some of these ideas of sort of this radical openness really did not end up with the intention, really did not end up living into the intentionality of what openness can be.
Did you hear that? Openness did not end up living into the intentionality of what openness can be. In other words, what she's saying is the idea that we should have an open and free to use and everyone having input, well, that's not important. That for its own sake is unimportant. The goal that's important is diversity. Voices that aren't white male. And so if allowing everyone to speak means that we're not hearing the voices that we personally want to hear, which are those that aren't white, then openness itself should be rejected, and we should instead close it down to make sure that we're getting more of the voices we prefer. That's like saying, I'm for free speech. Unless people are speaking that say things I don't like, then we need to stop free speech to ensure the things that I like are being said. And then claiming, but I'm pro free speech.